there's a lot of good in my life right now that wasn't always here. One night I had 955 in my bank account, and there was even times when, you feel like just giving up. So at that moment when I realized, what am I doing in my life, right? And it took a lot of self-reflection to take a step forward and make sure that, this number never appears in my bank account again.
Welcome to Bert to the Bone, and today my guest, my friend, Tom Son, Marketing Director from KWA. How are you, Tom, my friend?
Good. Yeah. Always, it's a pleasure to be here. Always a pleasure to talk to you, man.
Man, I think we talked a lot the last weeks. But I'm happy that we talked a lot. But and from the other side, it's only business. It's always business, and that's why I appreciated that you made the time today.
Course,
because I want to know more about Tom Son, not only Tom, the marketing director of KWA, but I really want to know a little bit more of Tom himself. And to be honest, we saw each other 2 years ago, I think. No, it was 1.5 years ago. We saw each other in LA. I remember it wasn't a kind of pub. It was something like that. It was in a bar. We had snacks, and I was with the boys of
we did
SYG, and we had our first talk right there. You remember that?
I do. It was during the LA tournament, and Roy was telling me, there's someone important there. You guys have to meet. And it was really interesting, Bert, because our first conversation, it felt like we've talked before, right? Because we were thinking the same thing, so it was an easy connection to make.
It was a strange connection, but it was a good connection. It felt good, and from that day on we stay in contact, and that was really, marketing and sales and I'm a marketing, I'm actually trying to do everything, but we both have a way of vision, and we talked about that in that bar. I remember that it was sitting next to fries and chicken, and we my mouth was completely red, and we were talking about it was hot chicken. I remember that one, and
and we had some beers too.
Yeah. For me it was rum, I think, because I hate beer. So but there was some beer, some alcohol involved. Yeah. Hey, again, Tom, I'm so happy that you are here and be my guest today, and let's make a nice podcast, and it starts with this, to get in Tom, because for me it was very hard. Again, I don't know why, but of course, we saw each other once and we spoke. Well, we had some meetings together, let's say it like that. But even there, to find something about Tom Son, it's not easy. I asked you last week and you sent me some links, and even there, I said, I need to find more. So, but one thing really surprised me, to be honest, and I'm just going to say one thing, and maybe this is going to help you a little bit, but this is not new for you, what we're doing now, is it?
It's not. Podcasting is something I've been doing for a while. But my podcast is very different from business, actually.
Man, it's rush hour, isn't it? Tell us about rush hour. Yeah.
So one of my best friends, my guy Cameron, shout out to you if you ever watch this. We've been really close friends for a long time. And when we're together, we're always just talking and like BSing, we talk sports, music, and everything, and even recently, when he got married, I was one of his groomsmen, so we wanted to just bring that energy out, because anytime we're with other people, our conversations kind of carry through the night, and what we love doing the most is, sitting around and drinking and just talking. So our podcast, we haven't done it in a while, to be honest.
Yeah.
He has a baby now.
Uh-huh.
And I got married. So, it's a little
Bye bye, good
tougher
time.
to, yeah, it's tough to find time, but, our podcast, it's really fun. We always invite guests. If we ever do it again, Bert, I'd love to have you on there.
It was the same that I said to Gunnar. I listened to it and it's so not, yeah, it's so cool. It's like friends on with each other talking about everything they do. It's about, and it's really fun to listen. I think you have to do more episodes again. I think you have to just say to your wife and to your friend and to everything is around there and kids, and say, listen, we need some podcast time. We need to do that once in a month, 1 hour. We need to sit down around that table, because I like the concept. I mean, it's
thank you.
Yeah, it's really cool, and I like the way. So everybody, it's still online. I mean, go to Rush Hour podcast. I mean, I just listen to it. I mean, just a few friends talking about everything you love as a man. It's really cool. So go and listen.
I'll tell you a funny story about it. Like we wanted to make something that would be for everyone that's like in traffic, driving home from work, and sometimes you're stuck in traffic for like an hour, right? So our podcast is for them. So we were thinking about names, and my friend, he's black, and I'm Asian, so we were like, oh man, rush hour is, you call rush hour like traffic time, right? But then the movie Rush Hour with Jackie Chan and Chris Tucker, both of our favorite movies, so it was such a perfect name. So we went with it.
That was it's really cool.
It works out.
It's really cool. And the name, now I know the logic about the name, actually, when you explain like this. So yeah, it's cool. So if you see it as Tom, I mean, it's if I say $9.55, is this something that brings you back in history, or do you need more info with this question?
I think I know what you're talking about, but maybe you tell me some more so you could confirm what I'm thinking.
Well, there was a switch in your life, and the $9.55 was one of those things that made your switch in your life. And
okay, so we're thinking about the same thing.
Yeah, that's cool. So
yeah. So Bert, wow, so you clearly, you did get some research done.
Hey,
yeah,
I did.
So yeah, 955. It was an interesting time in my life. I do marketing. And right now, I gotta say I'm grateful for every single thing I have in my life. There's a lot of good in my life right now that wasn't always here, and you have to work for it, and that's my biggest lesson, is you always have to work for things. So 955 was actually, I had one night where things just, things kind of crashed, and I had this panic attack because, and I'm sure for a lot of people listening, you've probably been in a similar situation. You're just going through life, and your things aren't really working now, and you don't really know what you want to do with your life, So, one night I had 955 in my bank account, and to be honest, like before that, I've even been in negatives before, right? But I've always found ways to bounce back. Whether and there was even times when, you feel like just giving up, right? So at that moment when I realized I had 955 to survive, I had a whole month left before another paycheck. What am I doing in my life, right? And it took a lot of self-reflection to take a step forward and make sure that this number never appears in my bank account again, right? I never have to feel this way again because I have people that depend on me, and that's really the backstory behind it, Bert. And we could definitely go a little deeper into
Oh
it.
no, it's not for me deeper. You know what it is? It's something that why I asked this is because it feels so. I had the same moments in my life, and that's why I took it.
Yeah.
Everybody has his history, and everybody has that. It's not for that. It's just that $9.55, that $9.55. It kept in my mind, and that turning point. It was your turning point in your life, and I had that point on the same thing. I'm coming from a working class family. We had we worked very hard, and there were hard times in that. And there was a moment in my life, and it was not the 9.55, but it was a moment that, for me, it says like, okay, this is now. I don't want to be depend on everything that's happening and people decide for me. I want to be independent. This is going to be my turning point. And my mom didn't like it. She really didn't like it. And they called me, I already said it to many people, they called me the dreamer. But from that moment on, I said, okay, and now it's over, and the first thing I did is I went upstairs and said to my mom, I'm going to make my first dream come true. And it's going to be now in 3 months. And my mama was looking to me and she was really saying like, okay, there it goes again, but 3 months later I came back and I think I surprised her, but it was done, and from that moment on, that was my turning point. And I just definitely understand that feeling where you come from, because it's like,
yeah.
It's a part where you don't feel independent, where you really feel like you always have to, if you're not changed now, it will never change. That's exactly. Actually what's going to happen. And
exactly.
Yeah. Sorry, I just had to.
There's Bert. That moment that I think we both had.
Mm-hmm.
It shaped the rest of my career. It shaped the rest of not just my career, actually. Like, it shaped my mind. It shaped the way I think and my perspectives, because I know I was going the wrong path. Mm-hmm. Because I kept coming back to this corner where it seems like that problem was more familiar than me being comfortable, and I think a lot of people out there go through this, right? Like, and it's not like you don't try. It's not like you're not working. You are, right? But it's gonna have to come from your mind, and then the way you see things, your perspective is so important. Mm-hmm. And Bert, I also want to share with you another moment that it was very similar. So growing up, like I focused on a trait, a skill that I could try and perfect, right? And I've always been into art, and I've never been like great at drawing, but I've always known that I could design, right? So I went that path and went with graphic design, and during that time, like, graphic design doesn't pay much. Now it pays pretty well if you're in the right environment. But this is back in like 2008 or so. Mm-hmm. Graphic design is entry level, and it was hard to find jobs that paid well. So I knew, okay, I have to go out and get freelance jobs, right? So around the same, and this is after my 9:55 moment, I was looking for answers. I was looking for whatever that could give me a sign, So I went to I had a job that I found for my freelancing. So I show up in this West Covina office, right? Really nice office, man. It's like it's its office of its own, and you go in and you see like there's a lot of corporate offices in there, So I was like, oh man, I think this project I might get paid pretty well for it, So I was excited. Went in, and that office had like a beautiful receptionist. She sat me down in the office, and I'm just looking like, man, this is what I want, right? And then in the window, I see a nice Ferrari pull up, right? And out walks this kid. And I'm telling you, this kid looks young, you know. So I was thinking, he can't be the one hiring me, right? Like it can't be him. And he walks, you know, he walks into the office. He sits down and he's briefing me on the project, right? And I'm looking at his office, I'm looking at his car, and you know, like in the middle of our conversation, you know, and he was friendly, so I felt comfortable asking. I was like, "Hey, do you mind me asking, like, how old are you, man?" He's like, I'm 21. I was like, no way. Like, and you know, at that time I was like, I think 25 or so, you know, so similar in age, but this kid's still younger, right? So right away, like, and at that time, you know, my mind, I think I was less mature. So I was thinking, he probably came from family. Like his dad probably gave him money, you know? But I asked him, I was like, hey, how'd you get to where you're at? Cause you know, this is kind of what I want to do. Right. And, you know, he looks at me and then he's like, Tom, do you read? And I was like, no, I haven't read since I was a kid, you know? So he gives me a book. It's called 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. And he's like, Tom, look, just start reading, read this book. Right. He gave me the book and it was such a weird experience, right? Cause I'm driving home. I'm like, is this kid like, you know, pulling something on me? Like, but he gave me a book, you know, and I've been looking for signs, right? So I read it. I read the book. The book taught me about being proactive, being a positive, proactive thinker, being efficient. There was lessons, and I don't want to, you know, bring all these points up, but thing is that book really did shape me to become where I am today. You know, so that was another moment, and I realized that you have to kind of step out of what you're used to and just do it. You know, sometimes all you could do is look for opportunities and signs. And if you have nothing but that, take it and run with it, you know? So I that moment was a moment I'll never forget.
Actually, you already answered my question. You know, I mean, it was like, what's your message to young kids having this knowledge? Well, this is the question. This is the answer. So that's. I'm not gonna tell you that now I'm getting really goosebumps over because a book changed my life too. You know, it's the same,
wow.
and it's so we really get things. Maybe that's the reason why we work together on this moment. I mean,
I think so.
Maybe it's all coming more closer to each other than we thought before. But yeah. Sometimes you just need that push. You know, sometimes you just need that little push in that direction. But only yourself can do this. You know, it's only you and nobody else than you that says, okay, and that switch is going to happen now. But you have to invest. You have to invest in that. You know, you need to get out of the couch, from the couch. You need to get your mind really in a reset and forget the years that you had before. And and you need luck. And luck is a very important thing. You know, when there is no luck, there's no life, and you need luck in your life. And so
I agree.
And on that moment, on the moment when you search and you start walking that path, there will always be an exit that fits you, and that exit you just need to take. You know, but sometimes you need 3, 4, 5 more exits, but there will be an exit. That is your exit, and luckily you had that, and I had that, and look where you are now, man. I mean, marketing director of KWA, one of the representative companies in the airsoft world, and that's why
it's a blessing.
Yeah, that's why I started with the 9.5.
Yeah.
That's why I started with the 9.55. You know, that's why I started. Like, look where you come from. It's amazing. And I mean, how young are you now? What's your age, Tom?
So now I'm 33.
Yeah.
Turning 34 soon. You know, and like, you know, the older I get, the more I'm learning to just appreciate, you know, everything that's come to me, because you're absolutely right, Bert. It requires luck, right? But luck doesn't always show up like
No way, Jose.
like it's not clear, you know. You luck comes in like little bursts that you have to find and understand that, okay, that's my luck that's bringing opportunity to me. But then it's also, okay, what do you do with it?
Mm-hmm.
You know, a lot of people, what I find is a lot of people, they could even recognize an opportunity, but then they don't recognize that they have the ability to do it. And I feel like that's a lot of people's roadblocks,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and I feel like that's the same roadblock that probably you and I jumped through before we read that book that changed our lives.
Yeah.
So, you know, I think it all comes full circle.
It's 100%. But how do you take the experience that you had in the last 8 years or before? How do you take this in your job, what you have now? I mean, how makes that the marketing director of KWA? What you know what I'm trying to ask? It's like
it starts. Yes, Bert. When we talk, Bert, we always talk about vision,
mm-hmm.
right? Like probably for the last year before we really did work together.
Sometimes we are on a different planet.
Yes. Yeah, and that's the thing. That's the thing is have a vision
mm-hmm.
and make it happen. Because like the vision that I have, you know, the path I took to get to certain visions isn't written anywhere.
Nope.
You know, you have to go find it, right? So, for example, we recently released the really highly anticipated Kaiju 47, you know, the special edition.
Brilliant edition.
You know, and when we first saw the gun, right? Our team, when we first saw what the factory gave to us, we recognized that it's a gun that might be a challenge in the beginning to get across to people, right? Because how do you present a gun like that? You know, it's so unique, but yet there's so much qualities of the gun that the standard airsoft market might not look at it in a positive light,
mm-hmm.
right? So for us to get from that point to selling out the Kaiju 47 in 30 minutes, that took a vision that, you know, started off in my notebook, right? And then you know, I have a vision in my notebook, and then you make like triangles or shapes or whatever, and you map it out. And so once you get to that point, you execute, you know. So there's no set path, there's no set answer for. And to answer your question, Bert, there's no set thing I could really say other than create the vision and go for it.
Yeah.
You know,
and that's the only thing. That's the only thing you have to do. And here it comes again for everybody who's listening. I mean, it's always passing by. You know, it's for yourself. You know, no blah blah, but boom boom, Tom. It's
yes.
That's the only thing that works.
That's one thing that I, you know, every time we talk, you remind me of that, and that's why I love that we're working together, because we're the same. You know, like as much talk as you can make. You know,
we have to move things. We have to move things.
Move for you.
That's it. Yeah, we have to move things, and that's the good thing about it. But we're coming back with KWA, and we're coming back with Airsoft. But before that, I mean,
yeah,
it's I know that you are an amazing. One of your biggest love is you're a big movie fan, and
mm-hmm.
and not only a movie fan, but especially about characters and stories around it. How did that evolve? I mean,
So, you know, Bert, I'm a big movie fan for one reason, and I'm not a movie buff or anything. Like, if you like did a trivia, I'll probably fail pretty bad, right? But I love when good movies give you a good message to learn from, right? Because like every single movie, whether you recognize it or not, it's trying to teach you something. You know, even like the worst scary movies is trying to teach you
It's true.
to be careful about whatever, right? So um, my thing with movies now that I really appreciate is I study how they tell a story, because in marketing, and you know this, Bert, in marketing, storytelling creates the experience. And when you want to, whether or not you want to sell something to anyone, or just put things out in the world, having story creates context, and context helps let a customer have like an emotional connection to whoever you're selling. So I study that to the T. Like I make sure that I understand why Star Wars is teaching something in a certain way, and maybe I could apply that with the next client that I have for marketing. You know, so movies is a big tool for me,
Inspiration.
and it's also, yeah, it's an inspiration, and it's also something I enjoy. You know, I make sure, you know, my wife and I, we watch a movie at least once a week, and that's how we like to spend a lot of time together. And during that time, yeah, like paying attention to those little things, because just you like getting something out of a movie might make you some money. Right?
Yeah, but it's true. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
just, I really gonna, I don't know what I'm gonna do after this podcast, but I'm really talking to my young self over here. It's like, it's so much inspiration I had from movies. You know, it's like, I really, I mean, the last movie that really inspired me, to be honest, is again, you know, every time I learn every day. I'm really learning every day. But I remember that moment when I was ready with that movie, and it was not something like that, but I really saw that convincing and believing an idea, and it was The Wolf of Wall Street. You know, it's like
I love that movie.
that movie on, and it's not that old, but, and I'm not that young anymore. But even there, I was almost 50, and that movie really, I was so hyped after that, and I was sitting down on my desk, and I start writing, and I was in my head, and it activates something in me. So
It does.
it is. I really get a lot of, like, now I'm watching many documentaries. Documentaries, yeah, and it's especially sports. So I get a lot of positive information, like the documentary of the American football. You know,
Okay.
that's crazy. I mean, the work in there, but the way how it works, I never knew, because we are Europe. You know, American football is not over here. We play soccer. So, but if you see how people needs to do this sport, I mean, they do this. They offer their whole body to get college, and
Yeah.
the way how it works, I never knew how it works. I never knew how a sport like college sports. It's not over here. We don't have college sports, you know.
Okay.
So and I wanted to understand. So I watched all the series. I watched them all, and it gave me so much information of, okay, this is something that we really could use in something that we want to do. And just give young kids the possibility to train and give them a sport. Because a lot of kids want to sport, but they don't have the money, or the parents don't have the money. And there are more possibilities to create money. So with that idea, with that vision, I went to the table, and I was sitting down, and I'm really busy now with creating something and to give back to the sport. And because we have a little problem over here. We cannot play airsoft under the 18, but we have to do something for young kids and kids with problems. And I learned that from that documentary. You know, it's like I start thinking of that. Okay, these are the possibilities. And I believe in one thing. And one person told that to me. And he's one of the, is an American, by the way. And
okay.
And he calls himself the network king. And and he has one thing, and it said, give and give back. And I believe in that. You know, you have to give and you have to give back. And I hope that with this thing, I can give it back. So all the inspiration coming from movies and documentaries. And so, yeah, I saw that too. I mean, you love movies. And from that, what is your favorite character then? What is your favorite character, your most favorite character?
My favorite character?
In a movie, yeah?
I'll say this. I grew up. I'm a huge like comic book nerd.
Yeah.
Like I grew up loving, you know, any comic book characters, but my favorite is probably just any Batman movie. And I'll tell you why. I don't actually like Batman's my favorite character because he's the central point of the movies. But what makes his movies are the villains, are the supporting characters, because he doesn't have that much personality. He has a dark past. He has things that he has to prove to himself, and he has obligations, but he really doesn't have that much going on. But when you watch, let's say, him and like how he interacts with the Joker or how he interacts with Bane, those supporting characters make the movie work, you know, and that's why like I love watching that kind of interaction between characters, you know. Like there was another movie about the Joker,
yeah,
and it was that Solo movie, right?
Very dark movie, by the way.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Such a great way of storytelling, right? Because we all know he becomes a villain, yet you're rooting for him. You know, so Batman is, you know, to me, he's the person that has to deal with all these types of people, and you could kind of compare that to life, right? Like, obviously, we're not in a costume fighting, but you know,
I understand what you say, 100%.
Yeah, but we deal with a lot of people, a lot of people's BS sometimes, you know. So there's that. But Bert, I want to say like my favorite like personality and of all time. I think you know, if you see my room, which I'm in right now, I have Kobe Bryant posters and on my wallpaper, everything. I've probably learned the most just watching him in sports and watching his work ethic, watching the way he talks, the way he moves, the way he talks in interviews about his business and about his mentality when he's on the court.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so it's one of those things where like when I was younger, when I watched him play, it felt like I was watching Batman. It felt like I was watching whatever movie, right?
That
like he was so, yeah, he made me. He was the one guy that can make me like jump out of my seat and like scream, you know? So, and then after he retired, he was able to create business. He was the one that talked about storytelling that made me like, it made me click, because during one of his interviews, he was like, I don't know what I want to do with the rest of my career, but I do know that I want to be the best storyteller ever in my second career. And I was like, okay, well, that I could do too, you know? So, yep. Yeah, I would say beyond movies, he's probably the biggest inspiration, you know, in my life.
It's, I just finished The Last Dance. You saw that? You saw that documentary?
That was a great documentary.
I love that documentary. And by the way, about the football, it's a Last Chance U. What I watched. Did you ever saw that?
It's a great series,
man. It's and now they started the first episode for basketball too. So, but back to The Last Dance. That that man, there are not many sportsmen as Michael Jordan, to be honest. I mean,
Yes.
he was loved, he was hated, but he was only focused on his own thing. And I never knew that. And I mean, this is why I love Netflix. Netflix is king. I mean, why didn't we invent a thing like Netflix? I mean, it's crazy. But yeah, so this is how older I get, how more I want to know about people and about things and why they do it. Like, I know now why you do this, and but you. If people don't know you, I mean, you're just a person. You're a very polite person, but there is so much background on you. Like I know what you love. Your sport, one of your favorite sports is MMA and UFC. I mean, you like that whole everything about it. I think you.
Yes.
And what inspires you for that sport? I mean, this is something. Actually, to be honest, you inspired me to that. It's like it's the way how you talked to me a few months ago is like, okay, I'm gonna go a little bit deeper, and you had me. You had me there. So tell me, us.
Well, when it comes to any fighting sport, it may, the one thing that inspires me the most is what leads up to the actual fight, right? Because as much as I love watching the fights and how technical they get, how good each player is, what I love even more is the story they tell before the match happens, right? Because it's not just the two players talking about each other, it's the whole world talking about the two of them fighting, right? Like when you have, let's say, the best example is Conor McGregor versus Mayweather that happened a few years ago. Everyone knew Conor McGregor was probably going to lose in a boxing match, right? Like,
Of course.
You're going against the top boxer in our in at least in the last 10, 15 years, right? So how do you sell that fight without it sounding like a joke, right? But you know what they did? They told the story.
Yeah, that's it.
They did that, and for them to be able to create that, and for me to even feel some emotions about who I want to win, that's impressive. That's storytelling. So again, like when it comes to MMA, I consider myself like a longtime watcher, probably not as long as, guys like Haber, but when I started watching, that was when like Brock Lesnar was huge. That was when Rampage and John Jones first came up. But John Jones is the guy that I want to talk about, because John Jones, when he first came up, no one knew about him. Like really, no one knew about him. But people that did catch him fight during like when he was like fighting in like the undercard, everyone saw how aggressive he was, So I remember I was watching ESPN, and all it took was one analyst to agree with what I already thought, because I watched him fight, to say, yo, John Jones is the next big thing in the sport. Him saying that confirmed what I was thinking. And then for him to actually win it made me become his biggest fan. So you could see how powerful storytelling is, right? You could see how powerful narratives are. And Bert, for you and me, like we're trying to elevate the sport of airsoft, right? And for so long, I feel like, companies in this industry just focus on the guns. They're not focusing on the people who keep the industry alive, the players, right? So how do you elevate the sport with the players? Is we got to figure out a way to tell their story. Because just my short time being in this industry, I feel like I've met so many incredible people, incredible talent that just never had a opportunity to tell their story or to show their work. So my biggest goal, and I know we share this vision, Bert, is to bring that out.
Yeah. It's well, I mean, I think the last weeks we only talk about narrative and we only talk about airsoft and how to bring actually that experience you have, the way how you look at UFC and the MMA. And we had a presentation earlier, and I mean, we want to tell the same story. You know, we want to make a sport of this, and we're going to do this. And you're right. I mean, the way how they present their sporters, their players, is on a way that you just get addicted to it. You know, it's they take you in that storytelling. They it's like, you know, it's like they pull you in there and you're in there. And on the moment when you're in there, and I think they have the power. They really do this so well that they decide which one you're going to like, because they have so much background. They have so much data. And that's with that data combined with experience and combined with good players, man, you can do a lot of things. And that's where we're talking about, you know, and that's why we are. That's what we want to do. I mean, with KWA and myself, let's say and my team, we really want to do something different, like with Speaky B or with Monk or with Dash Masters, or it doesn't matter. And you are the only person in the industry that talked to me and gave me some reasonable answers on my questions, where I really thought, okay, I have no rush. I'm not in a hurry, you know. Mm-hmm. I'm waiting, and I wait how far it comes, and I waited for a year, and after a year, we really was sitting, you know, because you need to find that click, and if that click is there, you can make magic come true, and dreams come true, and I think we are on that level now that we are actually really talking loud our dreams, and we're really seeing things coming together now. We're really seeing things like
they are coming together, right?
Yeah.
It's pretty amazing. Like, you know, what your team has been able to do. Mm-hmm. In terms of like presentation, you know, I haven't seen anyone that could compare to what you guys have put together. So the fact that we could combine our visions, mm-hmm. we have, and our network, we have so many amazing people to just look at and work with us. You know, I'm huge on collaborations, Bert. Yep. And you know this, like we've been talking about that, but you know, I'm huge on giving that guy who, you know, is just on Instagram but putting out great content. I want to give that guy a chance. Mm-hmm. I want to give the chance to the guy that I know spends all his weekends playing and trying to get better. I want to put that guy in front of a camera to see, you know, for him to prove himself to the world. Like, hey, I'm one of the top guys, and this is my chance to prove it. You give that platform to someone, and everyone's got to be scared of that guy that takes his platform and takes it all the way to the top. Just exactly the same way that, you know, we took our opportunity with the book. Yep. You know, and we ran with it. We're making a platform for someone to do the same with airsoft. That's it. So that's exciting to me.
Well, the good thing about that was the first time when we talked, we both knew that there's the airsoft market is so big.
Yeah.
But there are so less. A very, very, very small group who's really busy with it on a different way, you know. And mm-hmm. Tell me, and that's why our conversation is like, give me one platform where anyone in the airsoft industry could really show their complete way of thinking. There is no platform. And how do you bring that platform? You're not bringing that platform with a YouTube channel. You're not bringing that platform with you only bring this with a kind of sports. And that's where our interests came together. You know, I love the sport. I wanted to make it into sport. Like Dash Masters is something we were on the same level with Dash Masters, and you were doing with KW8 Fight Nights. Well, we find the perfect solution, and people going to hear it soon, what we're going to do there. And we're going to build something, but nobody they are thinking, but they're not doing it, and I'm so happy that we are now decided, we decided that we're going to do it. It's like, let's show those people and give them the platform. And we're going to show, the only thing we do is we're going to supply the platform. We're going to supply the platform, but we're going to help them. It's the same thing as that book. We are that book, we're going to help them. And because that was my reason to go further in airsoft. How is it possible that there is no sports in airsoft? How is it possible? And that's how it started with SpeakyB with me. That's why that was my first chance to say, okay, this is really something where we really can build that sport. It was a sport already in LA, but I really thought like we really have to make it complete with everything on it. And together with the guys in LA, with Sapo and with Roy and everybody from SYG, I wanted to say, but with SpeakyB, they are amazing. And we are busy to building a sport. And you saw last week's movie, that they launched. That was something
that was amazing.
Yeah, but
that was such an amazing video, Bert, because it shows, because the one thing that, me being around those guys, the one thing that resonates with me very well is the confidence that your team has, that SpeakyB has.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a level of confidence with, I think, people who know how to prepare, like, and that's how you kind of know how people operate. Because if you could sense someone's confidence going into any situation, just like Bert, just like you on this podcast talking to me, the confidence comes from preparation. You already know to hit me with that question. So, but that's what it is, because confidence tells me that you've done your work, you prepare, and you know what you're talking about. Mm-hmm. And the way that SpeakyB has evolved, I think, stems from that confidence. So it's an amazing thing to watch. Like, how many countries were involved, how many players like put on the same mask and the same look as what those guys did years ago when SpeakyB only existed on a field in California. It's crazy.
There was only one thing for me, and when I saw that, the only thing in my mind was, I want to accelerate that. That, and I think we made it work. When I took it over to Europe, because there was nothing here. There was completely nothing. And I think from there on, when Demo and Sapo came over here, from that day on, for us, the acceleration it started, and we're still in that momentum, and so that's the moment where I said, okay, this is what sports mean, and this is the opportunity to make it as a sport. But now we're only talking about the niche market, it's only a niche. But the other million peoples, the millions, they are playing airsoft or milsim or skirm. What do they have? And this is where we are talking about. This is what we are going to do in the next coming months, and we're going to show, we're going to try to bring them a concept, but they need to have a kind of sports too, a kind of competition, a kind of that, and we're gonna do that, and I'm 100% sure that we're gonna nail it. But I'm so happy that we are working together with that, because after this podcast,
Absolutely.
we came in this podcast without any preparation with each other. We didn't talk. I just said to you, Tom, come in there. We just talk. And nothing is made up here. There is no. I didn't send you something and you didn't send me something. But as I said, everything has to come natural. And I didn't know what your story was about a few things, and that makes things special. And I think that there is always, and maybe you're one of the exits. You know what I'm trying to say? Because there are more exits that you need to take when you're on a highway.
Yeah,
you pass by so many nice, and then where you say, "Oh, that looks great," but it's miles away. Sometimes you just need that to take that exit and drive to it. And I did that with KWA. I just said, "Okay, I'm passed it by again. Okay, I passed it by again," and now I say, "Okay, I'm now going to turn off and now going to see what the possibilities are." So that's how I see you as an exit. So it's
It's amazing because, I feel like if you were in the industry like 3 years ago, or if you just followed airsoft and you knew KWA, KWA and SpeedQB didn't make sense.
Nope.
It really didn't make sense. Um, and this, I think this comes in our previous topic earlier about making experiences, right? Because Bert, what you're really, really good at is creating an experience for your market.
Mm-hmm.
Like I gotta give you major props because your field is like the ultimate field for someone who loves that style, right? Your field is anyone that plays CQB and has seen videos of your field. That's their goal. That's what they're trying to go after when they could upgrade, So in terms of experience, when I first joined the industry, it was so hard for me to understand how to create the experience because the fact of the matter is when I first joined KWA and I was trying to do my research, I couldn't find that many things that could draw me in because at that point I was an outsider. I knew nothing about airsoft. I thought, I hope people don't hate me for this, but in the beginning, I thought, I was just going to sell BB guns, like I had no idea about the level of passion that's in this industry. I just thought they were toys, in the very beginning. So the shock that I had when my research broke through and I saw what airsoft is, it was a shock to me. And it shouldn't take someone like me doing research it shouldn't take me that long to figure it out.
That's true.
Because you have so many good elements in airsoft. So it should have only took me like a couple hours in my opinion, right? But honestly, it took me maybe like 2-3 weeks, right? Because if you're outside looking into this industry, all you're going to find on YouTube, it's better now. But before, all you're going to find was either gun reviews, which, I knew nothing about guns. So it's extremely hard for that to draw me in.
Mm-hmm.
But then you see like some toxic videos, some videos that everyone in the industry either thinks is funny or doesn't like. Those toxic videos let me think that, this is a toy industry and it's a bunch of reckless kids when it's not. It's absolutely not. The moment I stepped into a Milsim event and I watched how passionate these guys are and what an escape airsoft could be for these guys, the moment I learned about how our law enforcement creates solutions for society, for law enforcement all over the world, the moment I saw that, I just knew, okay, the experience hasn't been made yet. You have to be in here for a while. You have to try it to feel it. But how can someone like you and me, Bert, how can we create the experience? That's what we're working on right now.
And 100% what you say is true. But what was a surprise for me, because the surprise was that when we met, after that, I came to Vegas. I came to the SHOT Show and I saw you there. And for the first time, I really saw all the guns that you have at KWA. And it was actually the first time that I saw how big you are. I mean, as KWA, I mean, law enforcement. I mean, you're one of the biggest suppliers into the law enforcement, where they use normally real steel, but they train with the KWAs. And I saw them and I saw the realistic and I felt them and I were really like, wow, this is, I never expected that. And then I start thinking like, why is KWA not in Europe? I mean, why is this product not so big in Europe? I mean, yes, we heard about KWA, but it wasn't that big, And then, well, we had our meetings and we had our talks, and I knew that it was already in Europe, but there was no traffic. There was nothing on there.
Yeah.
And if people know what KWA is, I mean, I know the quality. I mean, I mean, CQB Junkie or Timmy is working for me, and his own gun now is his KWA, the T3, and he's crazy about that gun. He loves it, but it's quality. It's quality. So I didn't understand that. Like, how is it possible that a company like KWA is in America is as big and in Asia too, and in Europe they only talk about G&G and they only talk about but KWA, man, it's Tokyo Marui, man. That's great. I mean, that's holy shit over here, and I understand why, because I had one too. But now and knowing KWA, yeah, that was something where I was convinced in, and when I was in Las Vegas, to say, I'm not ashamed to represent this company. I mean, to represent this brand. I mean,
I'm glad you had that moment, Bert.
Yeah,
I think, yeah, because it's not easy for people to just recognize that. It takes someone that's been through a lot of things to be able to see this as an opportunity. So I'm glad that moment happened, and I also really the memory of our conversation at SHOT Show was it's very clear in my mind, because it was then when we had dinner and we had some drinks and we just talked about what the vision is going to be like moving forward, so I think that was a really important development for what we're about to bring to the market soon.
I think I'm going to through my questions. One of the questions is still here, because this is something that we really have to solve right here, right now.
Okay.
Liquors. Why do you hate that?
Why do I hate them?
Yeah, I mean, liquors. I mean, why? I mean, what is your problem with liquors? That this is something. The sweets.
No. So we should flag this, because Lakers are my favorite team.
Is that your favorite team? But liquors is a sweet, and you don't like the sweets.
Oh, I thought you were saying Lakers.
No. We keep this.
I was like, Bert, I thought you did preparation.
Maybe my English is not. No. It's not.
You're good. So you're talking about licorice.
Licorice, that's it. Oh, I'm sorry. I mean, this is one of the most favorite things right over here, licorice and Lakers. We keep this in.
So I just need you to know, if there was two possibilities in my mind. It was Lakers or liquor. I love both of them. So
and the first thing,
licorice, I can't stand it. I don't know how people could eat it. I've had it. I've had people try and like really convince me to try it. And even as far as like pretty recently, someone was like, "Hey, Tom, when you grow older, your taste buds develop and it matures. So maybe you'll like it now." Nope, not having it.
But you never had the Dutch one. So when you're coming over to the Netherlands, I'm gonna give you.
Is it better over there? Do you know if
it's one of the most favorite sweets over here? Mine, it is. So I really came in my investigation into Tom's son. I saw that he.
How did you find out I don't like licorice? Was it?
I know you need to have. As you say, you are prepared. We have to be prepared. So,
okay. I won't question you. Bert. So now you guys all know I love Lakers. I love liquor. No licorice. All right,
that's my English. That's my English pronouncement. I'm sorry for that, but I couldn't. I was saying, how do I'm gonna say this? Licorice. So it's not the Lakers. It's not Lakers, but yeah. But when you're coming over, I mean, you're gonna taste one. It's only for me, but you're gonna taste it. And if you like it, you keep it. And if you don't like it, maybe we change something in your life. But
just give me liquor then. Like that. I'll trade you.
No, we're gonna finish with that. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna give you a liquor. We have here a liquor of licorice. Or how you call it again? Say it again, because that is so a different word.
So it's licorice.
Licorice liquor. That's what we have.
I don't know if I like that, but I'm down. I'm down, Bert.
So that's a good combination.
I don't turn down shots easily.
It's going to be a shot. It will be a shot because it's called drop shot. And we call that licorice. We call that over here. We call that drop. So that's why we call it drop shot. So, hey, we almost finished there, man. There was one thing is one of the things that was really remarkable. What I saw from you for one of your first marketing productions, that was with the movie that you made for a new launch from not the last gun from KWA, but the one before, the one with Secretly Russian Demo and I mean,
I love that video. That is, by the way.
I mean, how did that work out? I mean, that was a great video with his own song and everything. It was great.
I'll tell you what. When I first came in the industry, and you know, honestly, like for people that's probably seen me on video before or right now, like you probably heard me talk about Demo quite often, right? Uh-huh. And it's really because when I said I was doing research to kind of draw myself in, Demo's videos worked well for me, right? Because his videos felt like something that I could it was content I could digest. It was content that felt like it was teaching me the experience. I was experiencing airsoft through his eyes. So I knew that I had to work with him eventually, you know. So fast forward, like, you know, I walked into Extremetronics one day. He was working there and we talked and we vibed, you know, like the same way, Bert, the same way you and I talked when we first met. Uh-huh. Same thing with him. You know, we had a great conversation, and I just, every time he talks about airsoft, you just gotta listen, because he brings his raw advice and knowledge for you, you know, good information. But I also noticed that he represents a part of airsoft that I think a lot of younger players resonate more with than like the old, you know, standard types of players that are into milsim, right? So I wanted to bring that out, and you know, I'm another great thing is that, you know, a lot of my friends, like they're either like in the music industry or they're models, you know. So I happen to know my guy Ja the Great. Shout out to you if you ever watched this.
Yeah, Ja the Great. It was there.
Yeah, man, that guy's so talented. That guy. He's, you know, he's definitely he was on the Rush Hour podcast one time, and if you hear him talk about life, this guy is he's so positive. He brings such a good energy. So I knew that him and Demo in a project would just mesh well. You know, so I had Ja. I was like, look, Ja, we're going to work on a project together. I'm going to put you in front of a product, right? My challenge for you is to make a song for airsoft, right? And he did that. And the first time I listened to that song, I had that playing at least like 10 times. You know, I was on my way to work and I just bumped that. I sent it over to Demo. Demo just like spammed me with fire emojis. Like we just loved it, you know, and we knew, okay, this video is about to be crazy, right? So, yeah. And then so I thought Rush, thinking about concepts, and this is again storytelling, right? Again, referencing from movies, right? So, in my mind, you know, I was thinking, this song brings me like beach vibes, you know. It brings me, you know, like I want to, yeah, like I'm thinking about like drugs being moved, and like, you know, how do we sell a gun with this song? So that all kind of came together, you know.
I see you in the clip too. City style. You're in the clip too with your Hawaiian shirt.
I am in it too, yeah. Funny story. It wasn't supposed to be me. Like the guy that was supposed to be there didn't show up. So I was like, you know what? Let me put on my Hawaiian shirt.
Lucky you.
Put on my mustache. And then, we ran with it.
Well, back to Demo. I mean, you're right with Demo. I mean, Demo was the one who pulled me in Speaker B. And my love for Demo as a person is big. I mean, I love him as a person, and as a player too. He's but as a person, he's such a good, genuine,
great
and
person.
Humble person. He is. And yeah, but you're right. He was the one who pulled me in that too. He pulled me in Speaker B because my first Speaker B movie was one of his YouTube movies. So
there we go. Yeah,
it's crazy. Well, time flies, friend. I'm sorry. Do you want to say something?
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say, I think his video for the 2018 SpeedQB LA tournament, probably like one of the best videos in airsoft of all time.
Yeah.
It was just he's so good at storytelling in his own way. Yeah. I don't know if he knows it or not, but he does it really well. So that's that's the video I think that set the standard.
That's why a lot of people want to see his content, but I know he's a very busy guy and people screaming for his content, but I understand it's so much work. I really understand, but I think it's a natural thing he has. There's nothing played, nothing there. Is a natural thing, and he knows how to tell it his way, and that's him. That's him.
And he shows confidence too.
Definitely. Definitely. We are really running because we're 6 minutes over the time that we need, but we keep going on, man. We keep going. My last question to you, well, actually the last question of the session, and then after that you can ask me questions.
Okay.
And then I have some questions where I ask you and you make a choice. Last question.
Okay.
What is your vision of the future in airsoft? Your vision in now and
the future of airsoft.
Yeah.
I believe the future of airsoft is going to be centered around players. Because I believe in our vision, Bert. I believe that what we're going to work on is going to take off. And I believe the rest of the industry will follow. I feel like the focus will shift from the product, which is, it's always going to be a big part of the industry. But I think the main focus will shift to the personalities. And I feel like, we're gonna see some people with amazing stories come out and inspire the next generation of players. So, Bert, we're gonna work hard on creating this shift towards that.
Definitely, and 100% sure that next year we have a next. Well, let's say it from now on. Next year, around the same time, we're gonna do a next podcast, and
let's do it.
And we're gonna talk about what we did in the last 12 months. I mean, that's gonna be great. That's what we're gonna do. Hey, Tom, there he is. I mean, everybody in Bert to the Bone can ask questions to me, of course, and I'm gonna give. If you have any questions to me, it's the time now. So.
It's the time now.
It's the time now to shoot, man.
So Bert, I'm actually curious. What was the book that changed your life?
Tim Robbins, a neurolinguistic program, and he learned me the inner you, and he learned me to activate things that I never knew where I was capable of, and I was really in neuralistic program that I learned tools that now is just myself, it's something that is automatically, but I just activated them. And by that book, I never knew what a syntaxis was. I never knew what, I don't know, it's a Dutch, it's an English modulating, it's like, and he learned me a lot. So these were techniques for me that activates me and it was actually, after reading that book, it was just like I was standing out of the bed and was I was like, this is the new me. And just with, he has many workshops in the book where he says to you like, okay, now try this. And then you sit down and then he said, take your breath and think about that. What is your second thought of that? And in those ways, he's actually teach me in that book it teach me to activate things, because I never knew that we only, from the 100% of our brains, we only use 5% or 6%. The rest is all unconscious. But if you activate 2 or 3% more, a world is going to open to you. So,
yeah.
And that changed my life. That book really changed my life. And it's
so how do you activate more of your brain? Because I would love to activate some for later today.
Well, it's the first thing of it is listen to other people. That it starts with that, because they have more knowledge than you. And it's crazy to say, but it's a training of your brains. It has to do with your how you breathe, is a way how you be more conscious of what is happening on this moment. And
interesting.
And your when your body is getting in, I mean, your body is getting in panic many times, but you just have to know when it's in panic. And on the moment when you know that and you can act on that, you have control. And that was the thing in my life that I missed. You know, when I was young, I missed control. And it's the one thing that I really hate in my life now, is when I'm losing control. And I said to myself, I never want to lose control. That's why I'm really in business too. It's like I'm giving away a lot of control, but I always, they know how to feed me back, because it's so hard for me that I don't have any control of that anymore, of anything, but especially of me. So that's why I never had drugs, because I was scared of losing control. I can't handle it. You know, it's like I never can handle it, that I don't have control of myself anymore. It's so yeah, that's the book. I'm sorry for that. It was a long answer, but yeah. But
I'm gonna have to check it out, because that sounds extremely interesting.
I'm gonna send you a copy. It's I'm gonna send you a copy of the book. It's really great.
Okay. I'm looking forward to that.
No more questions?
No, I think that's it for now.
So there we go. This is always the part that I really love. You know, this is the part that I really like. And it's I'm
a little nervous right now.
No, don't worry. I will never bring you in a position that you are. No. Don't worry. These are easy questions.
Okay.
And it's just to learn you more. It's just the way of, if you listen later and you listen to through these questions, you make more sense of, this is Tom's son. So, Tom.
Okay.
New York or Miami?
Miami.
Action?
Miami, 100%.
Action or comedy?
Comedy.
X-Men or Iron Man?
I go with X-Men. I gotta go with Wolverine.
DC Comics or Marvel?
DC Comics.
French?
Marvel movies are better though. Okay, I'll put that out there. But DC, 100%.
French or Russian?
You know what? I took French in high school and I failed pretty bad. So I'm gonna go with Russian.
Joker or Wolverine?
Joker.
A cowboy or an Indian?
Cowboy or Indian?
Yeah.
I would say cowboy. I think yeah, they look cool.
East side or west side?
West side.
M4, AK-47.
I go with the AK.
Booba tea or Starbucks?
You know what? I'm the one Asian guy doesn't like boba, so Starbucks all the way.
I'm wrong. Yeah, okay. So dreams or goals?
Both, but goals.
LA or San Francisco?
LA, 100%.
Taiwan or Japan?
Taiwan. I was born there, so Taiwan all the way.
Easy one, wasn't it? Jet Li or Bruce Lee?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I would say Bruce Lee.
Yeah.
Bruce Lee taught me a lot of things, a lot of things he said. So Bruce Lee.
Sneaker or boots?
Booze. That was a tough one too.
Tokyo Marui or G&G?
Oh man, you're gonna get me in trouble, Bert.
No, I'm not.
I say they're both cool, so that's my answer.
You have to pick one, man. That's the rules. Yeah, these are the rules. So you have to pick one.
I have to pick one?
Yep.
Man, I mean, you know what? I'll say G&G just because I feel like their new gun is that new. I forgot the name, but it's cool. Okay. So I'll go with G&G.
Khabib or McGregor?
Khabib.
Kobe Bryant or Michael Jordan?
Kobe Bryant, 100%.
Rain or snow?
Snow.
Figgy or Young?
I'll go with Young. He's the kid. He's the underdog. Figgy, shout out to Figgy though.
He's not an underdog. He's the future of our sport, man. This is Young. Young is the man. Young is gonna teach everybody and put the old guard on the side in a few years. So
Airsoft. But Figgy is the OG. So shout out to Figgy. Shout out to LTD.
Of course. Airsoft or UFC?
I gotta say Airsoft. I think I love watching UFC, but Airsoft is bringing me a lot of joy right now. So Airsoft.
A dwarf or a giant?
Giant.
Hard or soft?
Hard or what?
Soft. Hard or soft?
That's a hard.
I never saw somebody waiting so long for this answer, man.
There's so many wrong ways the answer could go. So
I know, but or good ways.
Yeah, or good ways.
So hard or soft?
Oh man. I mean, I'll say hard because I use that word a lot. But it depends on the context, you know.
I'm gonna stop because I don't want to bring you in an area where you're not feeling comfortable.
Yeah, you completely lied earlier, Bert. That was extremely uncomfortable.
But that's what I really tried to do with these questions. But it gives you more information about the person about that. But I don't want to make it more uncomfortable because I really had a comfortable talk with you, Tom. I really enjoyed this podcast, and I hope everybody's gonna love it. I mean, thank for your open discussion and be true. And the only thing I can tell you is I wish you so much health and luck and pleasure and everything that you need in your life, and enjoy it. And I'm really looking forward to our working relationship, and we're going to see each other definitely this year. And thanks for being on my show, and I really hope to speak 12 months from now on. In 12 months, we're going to tell the people what we did in the last 12 months. So
I appreciate you, man. Honored to be on the podcast. It's a blessing to work with you, Bert. So thank you so much. And 12 months, let's do it.
That's what we do. Thank you very much, man. Have a nice day.
Thank you.
See you, man. Bye-bye.